Friday, March 10th, 2023, New York City's newest subway cars, the R211s, entered revenue testing. Throughout the next month or so, these train cars will be testing on the A line, available for passengers to board as if it were a normal train. This is so the MTA can test the train's reliability on the road. I had the chance to ride the train over the weekend, and of course, while I was on it, I took a bunch of photos and videos. Today, I'm gonna be giving my thoughts on the train, talking about some of the features I like and dislike, and what can be done to improve future rolling stock orders. Let's start with talking about the design of the train. It is very controversial. Some people don't like the blue front, but I do. The design hasn't changed much from past car orders, but it's changed enough to make it unique. Overall, it isn't horrible, but I do have a few issues. One of them being the small windows. I know they were made smaller for us to have wider doors, but honestly, I would prefer normal sized doors with windows the width of the ones on the R179s. Another take I have on the train is that all of them that we are receiving should have been open gangway. I know we only ordered 20 of the open gangway cars to test them in the system, but honestly, the entire order should have been them. They have the most capacity out of any train we currently have in the system, and with how packed our trains get during rush hour, that capacity is well needed. I was crammed into that train with a bunch of foamers and regular commuters, and every second of it I was wishing that you could freely walk between cars to more evenly distribute the load. Who knows, maybe the MTA will place a supplemental order for more R211Ts, similar to what they did with the R142 back in the early 2000s. Anyway, moving on to the screens. When I first saw photos of the R211, I was pretty hard on it about the exterior LEDs. But honestly, now that I've been up close and personal with it, I don't mind them. They are legible and they do the job just fine. I do have a bit of an issue with the interior displays though. On the R211 mock-up in Hudson Yards a few years back, the fine screens above the doors showed everything you needed to know about the station you were arriving at. Exit locations, bus transfers, literally everything. These screens, however, only show you subway transfers and the next few stops. It's just a redesigned R160 fine display, with the only improvement being that there's 8 in a car now, and that's kinda disappointing. These new trains have so much potential to improve wayfinding in the subway system. You could have announcements for service changes or show them on these interior ad screens. Even the announcements themselves aren't the best. They are muffled, and during my trips on the R211, a lot of the announcements were inaudible for me. It's like you put all of this tech in the train, but you don't utilize it properly. This is what makes people feel like it was a waste of money. Anyway, talking about the overhead screens, I dislike them. The LEDs are very hard on the eyes, and the text is way too big that some full words can't even fit on the display. This should be an easy fix though. Change the LEDs to a warmer color like yellow or orange, but definitely not blue. And also for the words, make them smaller. After spending 4 hours on that train, I left with a migraine. Now, that might have not only been because of the LEDs, but also the many foamers who were there, but I'd assume that it wouldn't be too pleasant for a person with sensitive eyes. Other than the windows and the screens, I actually like the interior of the train. The LEDs right near the doors are nice, although I would prefer them to start flashing red when the conductor plays the door warning instead of when they start closing down. Another thing I like is the inclusion of wheelchair accessible areas with flip-up seats. And to answer your question, no, they do not slam like the R142s. There is one complaint I have though, and it's about the CBTC boxes at the ends of the cars. I saw some people using it as rests when there were no more seats available, and it made me think, why not put some type of fabric there so you don't slip off of it so easily? London does it, so why can't we? Just a thought I'm throwing out there. It might not be practical as it would get dirty very easily, but it would be nice. The inclusion of camera stock on the train is great. While they may not stop crime on the train altogether, it will make it easier to catch criminals either in the act or during the investigation. Finally, I really like the build quality of this train. Everything seems sturdy. It's not like the R160s where all of the panels will shake as the train is moving. Everything stays in its place and I really like that. I also like the level of sound dampening. It doesn't kill all sound from the exterior, so you can still hear the traction motors and track joints, but it's also not non-existent to where you're hearing literally everything that happens outside of the train. Overall, the R211 is a pretty solid train. Nice to ride when the foamers aren't present, just not a huge difference from what we've seen in the system before. Who knows, maybe some of these issues are only exclusive to the pilot set and will be fixed with the production units. If you plan to ride the R211 pilot set, I would recommend waiting at least another week. Let the hype die down so you can peacefully check out the train without a bunch of idiot foamers ruining it for you. What's your opinion on the R211? Have you ridden it yet? If you would like to get more from Mystic Transit, like, subscribe, and consider supporting me via channel memberships or super thanks. Special thanks to Stuart Guberman and Daniel Green for supporting me at the 2 Broadway tier, and the Bronx Express Gaming for supporting me at the Train Operator tier.